Do I look professional? Professional.
Oh. Oh, good lord.
Can you take a picture of me? My
Absolutely.
records.
Yeah, we'll do a quick
Act
little
natural.
selfie later on too.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Can you hear me?
Put it up a little bit.
How about now?
Yeah, that's a lot better.
A lot better?
Yeah,
I
way
can hear
better.
you perfectly.
Yo, these mics are actually really fucking good.
They're not bad,
I'm
huh?
literally gonna go home and buy these.
They're not bad. No, they're
Like, They're
great.
so fucking good.
These are Rode Pod mics, and they're about
Rode Pod.
Rode Pod mics.
Rode Pod mic.
Pod mics. They are sick. I love them, and they're great. They're perfect for what we need to be doing. So, ladies and gentlemen, what's up, everybody? It is another episode of Where is Wisco and his podcast. I am Wisco. I'm with a really great friend of mine. Her name is Julia, and she is also related to a good friend of mine named Matt, and brother and sister. She got to come with us to Hawaii, and I think we had the most unforgettable time out there. And we're going to just go down the rabbit hole as we always do here and get to hear some more about her story and who she is, what she's up to now, and just have a good talk, really. So thank you so much for being here,
No,
honestly.
thank you for having me.
Of
This is
course.
Awesome. I'm so excited.
No, it's been a great journey so far just to kind of do this. And the fact that we met out in Hawaii was a crazy coincidence, but an awesome
I know.
coincidence, you know. And you can actually bring it up closer to your mouth.
Okay.
Yeah, feel free, feel comfortable with it. Move it around, whatever you need to do.
Is this good? Is this better?
Yeah, the closer you are, the better. That's perfect.
Like this?
Yep. If you can
All
hear
right.
yourself good, then
Yeah.
that's
Okay. Yeah, that's
better?
definitely better. Okay.
excellent.
Cool.
So I actually don't know how that conversation started with you and Matt going out to Hawaii. What brought you
Oh.
out to Hawaii?
Honestly, I think it was Callie because
Okay.
he was like talking to me about the trip, and I was like, oh, I wish I could go to Hawaii. But I never brought it up to him. And then 2 days before you guys left, he texted me and he was like, "Do you want to go to Hawaii on Thursday?" And I was like, yeah.
I just need 2 days in advance to book a
Hell
ticket.
yeah. So I
Wow.
scrambled to get a COVID test, and I was on a plane. It was really sick.
That was crazy to get that COVID
Yeah.
test before everything, but
Oh yeah, that was definitely very stressful. I remember people getting turned away. I was like praying. I got off the plane. I was like, "Don't send me home."
apparently
Just for the wrong test. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
exactly. And that's
Yeah.
what bothered me is like you're supposed to submit your test up to the Hawaiian government travel website and you get a QR code.
Yeah.
One of the guys that Matt was traveling with, or one of Preston's, Peyton's, one of those guys, flew to Hawaii, got sent back from Hawaii all the way back
Yeah.
to wherever they came from.
Yeah.
And I was like, why? Because
know.
why give a person a code that isn't even close to being, or isn't the right test? I mean,
Yeah.
it's not so much that they took the right test, it's the fact that they submitted a test, whether it was right or wrong, and gave them a code anyway.
Yeah, that's whack. Because they literally just send you on a plane right back.
Yep.
Like a 6 hour. Oh.
Yep, they won't let you do it unless you
Brutal.
do a quarantine and whatnot for 14 days. But we weren't even
Yeah.
planning on being there for
Yeah.
5 days.
No, I felt so bad. That
Yeah.
was like actually tragic.
But it worked. One less person actually made the trip a little easier because like we had
Low-key.
like 9 people there, and we were. It was just it was perfect though. It was whoever was there was meant to be there.
I agree. You know what's funny? I feel like every person that was on the trip, I can see like a definite shift in their lives after the trip. It's been so crazy. I was like having this conversation with Matthew earlier today. We were talking about that. I was like, dude, like I can see how much you've elevated since like, you know, in the past
Yeah.
like 6 months, and you know, we're all doing a lot of growth right now, but even since the Hawaii trip, I've seen a definite shift in everyone. It was kind of like
I think
a
so.
wake up call to like grind more.
Yeah.
And because I felt that. I definitely felt that on the trip. I felt everyone's energy was so like motivational, inspirational. Like it was cool because everyone was like trying to figure out their path, and we were all kind of like, you know, you could just like feel that energy, and we were kind of like feeding off each other, and I could see how other people were helping other people like figure it out. It was so cool.
That's a cool way how you put it. It's like everyone was finding their own path because I only knew 3 people there. That was the crew
Yeah.
and Matt and that was it. I met Preston beforehand, but I didn't know Peyton. I didn't know Jordan.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, you like didn't know most of us.
I think I knew. Yeah, I met Callie beforehand. I didn't meet
Yeah.
you, but I feel like you said, everyone had their own path and their own part and their own role in that trip, and that was cool. Traveling in numbers and traveling with people that you didn't know, but we all knew one of somebody in that group, and we just all vibed, and it was just a really good trip. Like when it comes to the hiking, I mean, like grocery shopping. Riding the Jeep around the island, or even that crazy day where we went out to Waimea Beach and you had an excellent experience of, an adrenaline rush for you, but facing your fears as well. That was an amazing experience for all of us to see you do that. Like the whole beach was rooting for you as well, not just our group. The whole beach.
So funny.
The whole beach. And it was just, it was such an amazing experience. And I remember turning around and then seeing you like in the middle of it, you and Matt in the air. And I was like freaking out. It was so beautiful. So how did that start? Like that, I mean, because it was at Waimea. There's a beautiful cliff that you can jump off that's probably like, goes 50 feet into the ocean. But if you land perfectly into the
like
waves.
35 feet.
Yeah. I mean, it's, how tall was it? It was probably like a 20 foot tall rock that goes right into the water.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful.
No, and you know what's so funny? That the waves were so crazy. Like I was like, I would like come to like, where the waves were crashing, and I was like watching everyone jump and like have a good time. And I wouldn't even get in the water like from the sand because I was so scared. I was like, yo, like these waves were crushing everyone. Like I remember Jordan like getting barreled and just like
everyone got barreled. And that's what Taylor was trying to like get. He's like, dude, Wisco, come in and just get barreled by this one. He's like, just get trashed by like, bro, you want me to get like hurt? He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, sure. And luckily what was great about Hawaii is that the sand there is soft. It's softer.
Yeah,
I mean,
softer,
it's not the best impact, but it's relatively softer compared to other beaches. But it was amazing. And what was great about that area is everyone was jumping off that. It wasn't just our group. Like there was hundreds of people there, but maybe 10% of the people were jumping off that cliff there. But what was so cool to see in my experience personally was seeing all the families, and it seemed like there were some locals there too, but people who were traveling from out of the state as well. Everyone was supporting everyone.
Yeah, that was awesome.
It was so like everyone was just like, you can do it, because it's like you're not gonna die. But it is a scary jump.
Oh yeah.
And it was just to see everyone just supporting everyone. And I mean, maybe it was Hawaii and what Hawaii does to people when you're there, because that island is magical.
Yeah.
I mean, it was such a beautiful trip. And but we were about to leave. We were literally about to leave, and we were all sitting at a group right where we were keeping our stuff, and we're like, let's go jump one more time. And then Julia was there with us, and she's like, I don't know if I want to. And then Matt probably said something that just like ignited the idea, man, maybe I should. Then you're like, fuck it. We literally all got up and we were ecstatic. Every one of us were ecstatic. We ran to that rock. How long did it take us to see you jump off that rock?
Like a good 10 minutes at least.
At least.
Probably 20 actually. It was 20 minutes. It was not.
It was hilarious.
It was a long time. No, I was like, I remember just sitting on the beach and like, I met this random girl. This is actually part of the story.
Oh, cool.
I was waiting to use the bathroom, and I told this girl I liked her earrings. Then we became friends naturally, and then she was telling me like she's like
such a social butterfly. I like your earrings.
Yeah, and then
awesome.
It was fucking great. But so she was like just telling me about the island. She like lived there because her husband's in the military, and so she was telling me like, oh yeah, I just like came here to like hang out today. Like I was thinking about jumping, and I was like, oh interesting. I was like, noted. And at first I told her I was like, yeah, there's no way I'm doing that. I was like, I can't swim very well. I'm terrified of heights. Like it's not happening. And she would kind of tell me, she's like, oh, like you can jump with me. Like we just became friends. It can be like our bond. And I was like, yeah, I'm good. Like she's great, but I was like, I'm too scared. Like I can't do that. And then I think what made me want to do it was everyone was having so much fun. Like you guys were like little kids. Like, when you're a kid and you're going on the slide like 10,000 times, that was literally what it was. It was like, woo, like off 20 feet and
It's
then you
true.
swim back to shore, get barreled and then do it again. And I was like, wow, they're having so much fun. Like they're like living their best life right now. And I just like, but I kept thinking, I was like, nah, dude, like I'm way too scared. Like there's no way. And then, yeah, it took like a good 20 people to tell me over and over that I could do it for me to do it. And I can't even like, I was so scared. I felt like paralyzed by my own fear.
Well, that's what fear does to you. You know, it
Yeah,
slows you
like,
down a little bit. No,
I physically felt it.
it was. What was crazy is that it wasn't just our group that was motivating you. Like we
Yeah,
all
it was
said,
like even kids were like telling me,
kids,
like, you can do it.
adults. You know, we're trying
Yeah.
any one line to just get your mind to get away from that fear. Because you know, it's like we all knew because we jumped.
Yeah.
You didn't because you've never done it before.
I've literally never
And-
done that. I don't even swim in the ocean when I go to the beach. Like I really just like chill on the beach. I'll like go in the water, maybe get my hair wet, but that's about it for me. Like
You didn't even do it that day, did you? You didn't.
No, I
jump
didn't
it?
even go in the ocean
That's
until I
hilarious.
jumped off the cliff.
I didn't
dude.
even remember that. That's
Yeah.
funny.
Oh
Like,
my god.
You went from just sitting on the beach, soaking up some sun, to all of a sudden, the only way you're going to get into the water is by jumping
I
off this
jumped
cliff.
20 feet.
It
Oh
was
my
so
God.
good. But honestly, I think what you just said, I was seeing everyone have a good time.
hmm
It was contagious.
Oh yeah,
Right?
energy was for sure contagious.
And I think that's what's important for people to recognize is that what you're focusing on, what you're looking at, definitely affects your energy.
Mhm.
It affects how you think. It affects your actions.
Mhm.
You know, and if it's supportive energy or if it's non-supportive energy,
Oh yeah.
there was nothing but support there, you know.
Yeah.
And so that was really cool to experience and cool to see you go through that.
Yeah.
Like you were standing at the top of that rock for like 10 minutes, like going back and forth, like, okay, I'll do it. And we were like, oh shit, she's
Yeah,
about to go. And she's like, no, I can't. And sit right back down. And we were like, all right, well, we're going to go.
I think you went like 3 times.
We did.
Before
well,
I even went once.
Exactly. Peyton and I and whoever was there were like, and Jordan, we were like, you want to just keep going? Like, she's just going to keep waiting. We're like, yeah, let's keep going. But it was great that it was all documented. It was all caught on tape. And just seeing you jump was just like the highlight.
Oh man, that was.
What was going through your mind? Like literally right before you took your foot off the rock. It wasn't like when you were in the air, but right when you were stepping out.
You know, okay, this is actually kind of like interesting. So I just remember everyone kept telling me kind of the same thing. Like Matthew, I don't really call him Matt. He was like the one in my ear the most, like telling me like, and you know, he's been there a lot throughout my life. We're like best friends. Like we guide each other through everything. Like it's really interesting. Like I say that we live the same exact life because for years now, like something that he goes through, I'll go through a couple months later or vice versa. Like it's like a constant trend in both of our lives. It's so weird. So I'm very used to like having him like guide me through challenges and like he's always the one to be like, just fucking do it. Like there's no reason why you can't do it. You know, I'm a little bit more cautious than he is in like a lot of ways, but he was just kind of like telling me like, you know, like you're scared now. Like this is the fear that you feel for everything else in your life. And it might sound to someone listening to this like, oh, that's not true. But like, it's really true. Like there were certain situations that I was in at that point in my life that I was genuinely scared to leave. And I kept thinking, I was like, well, maybe if I do this one thing that like is conquering a fear, like maybe I can do one of those other things. And I did like actually within a month of that, but it was just
Wow.
it was like, and I think that's what I kind of kept telling myself because I was like, well, maybe if I can like get myself to leave this cliff, like maybe I can leave it was super weird. Like, but that was really how my mind was working. But I just remember being so scared that like my knees were shaking. Like I thought I was going to cry. Like, and then when he was counting down like to the wave, he was like, okay, in 10 seconds, we're jumping.
Yep.
I was like, every second he counted, I was like, had 3 breaths. I was like hyperventilating. Like I was so scared. And then he told me, he was like, I'm going to jump and just drag you if you don't let your feet. And I was like, well, we don't want that. So I don't even remember. I just remember like hyperventilating and then just falling. And then it was like, it was great.
Passing out, and I wake up, I'm in the ocean.
Actually, I panicked more in the ocean.
You did.
I
It
was
seemed
really
like you did,
scared.
but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And you were like,
Yeah.
it's okay.
Because when I saw her jump, I was like, those waves aren't small. She got through the easy part, but the hard part is
The hard part is actually getting to shore.
is
after
getting
you
to
jump.
shore from there, and or like the most dangerous part. Like landing in the ocean, that's nothing.
Yeah.
But actually getting to shore was like pretty sketchy because those waves, you have to time it right. And I knew at that point, I'm like, I could see on her face, like,
I was like,
shit, she looks scared.
shitless. I was so fucking scared.
And I'm trying to go out there and be a lifeguard, but I'm getting thrashed and barreled by these waves. I'm like, I'm trying to help you. But
And Matthew was like, "You're panicking. Don't panic. Don't panic. Don't."
that was
panic.
it. That was it. That was it. Like that was really good advice.
Yeah.
Just breathe. Like you did it. Like just we're good. Just the waves will take you in. And they
Yeah.
ended up doing that. But honestly, congratulations, because I didn't know that. What I'm congratulating you on is that you faced that little fear right there, and that snowball, like that affected things later on.
Oh yeah. No, it really did. It's just so interesting because like I think physical fear, you actually feel it in your body. Like it might sound dumb to some people, but like when you're like physically scared of something, it's like a feeling that you have in your body. It like basically paralyzes you.
Wow.
And then when you think about other situations in your life, like it's that same feeling, it's just not as tangible. And your mind has so many other excuses to make yourself feel that you're not actually scared. And that's not the reason why you're not doing what you know you should be doing.
Wow.
If that makes any sense.
No, it does. I mean, I feel like people can relate to that, and how you can, like you said, you can physically fear, and you can, excuse me, you can physically feel it
Literally.
holding you back.
Mm-hmm.
And wow, like fear is physical. It's not just
it's
mental.
extremely physical. I think, I mean, I think you even feel it physically when you're like about to do something that really scares you. Like that's why people have panic attacks.
Yeah, no,
Like
yeah.
that's a physical manifestation of whatever fear it is that it's like, buried in there.
I remember my first jump and I've never jumped from, I have, but not that high and
Yeah.
not in an ocean, in a lake.
That's a lot different.
Nothing, but in an ocean. And that step, that you're literally taking a physical leap of faith, and that faith is in yourself. Like you had to
Yeah.
trust yourself to get through that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Interesting. That's crazy to like try to dissect it. Try to dissect that experience that you had. Is that like you had to have faith in yourself to really go through that fear. And I think maybe that's the message, is that you have to believe in yourself if you're going through that dark
Yeah.
time. If you're not going to get through it. You have to
Yeah.
find that support. And like we were talking about, we had a really good support team there where everyone was loving you, everyone was encouraging it, and everyone was just pushing for it. Like, you can do this. But at the end of the day, none of that matters until you do it.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna get you to the edge, but until you jump, you won't be free.
Yeah, and it's I feel like, I don't know, you always know like you'll be fine and like all of that stuff, but it's the act of like pushing your body to do something that like everything else is like telling you not to do.
Yeah.
And that's like what people face when they're making like really tough decisions, like you always know what you need to do deep down, and then like your mind brings in all these other fears and then you kind of get paralyzed. And I feel like a lot of people stay in that for so long, especially if you don't have a good support system or you don't even want to voice your fears, because sometimes you're so scared of it that you don't even want to say it out loud,
Wow.
And that's like, you're right. Like if you don't have yourself, like you really, it's not impossible, but it's so much harder to actually push through that point,
Yeah. What an experience that is. And I feel like people can definitely relate to this, and how, like we're all going through something,
Yeah.
And we might be going through a rush of a good positive, let's say something positive is happening in your life, and you're just feeling that rush of emotions, those, that you're getting into a good habit of getting into a rhythm, and that's good. But it's like when you fall out of it, it's easy to fall out of,
Yeah.
and it's easy to stay out of it. And like when you get into that habit of not being disciplined, or not really going after what it is that you truly want, you want it, but instead you're just kind of not doing it. You're putting it off to the side. You're like, you you're fearing that step of going towards what you want. I mean, so we bury it.
Yeah. And honestly, like, I really believe, I mean, this is going to sound like a very primitive way to express it, but life is truly made up of experiences. Like, when you look back, like, even the shittiest moments in your life, it was all an experience. And, like, when you're, like, for me in that moment, like, I was so terrified of, you know, leaving that cliff, but then, you know, the whole thing turned into an experience. It wasn't even like a negative thing that I was so scared. Like, it just turned into a really positive thing after I made that decision. But like, if you're scared of something in your life because you're scared of failing, like, even failing is still an experience. Like, you're still going to learn from that. So when people say like you have nothing to lose, like, you really don't. Like, there's going to be times where you feel like you lost everything, but those are the experiences that are going to push you toward when you actually, like, you put all that together. It's just like a building process. So I don't believe in regret. I don't believe in failure even, because that's all an experience for me. Like, if I have my own business right now, if my business fails in a year, that's an experience. There's going to be something I can take from that to move on to my next thing, because there is going to be a next thing for me. So and that, like, you know, knowing and believing that really helps me fear less in my day-to-day life, because I'm like, okay, well, even if the worst case scenario happens, I'm going to find a best case scenario out of it. Like, it's still going to be an experience, and I'm still going to have that. I don't lose anything, you know?
Did you always have that mentality, or is that something?
No.
Okay.
No, not
Okay.
at all. This is definitely, you know, and Matt has really, really, like, you know, and I was talking to him about that today. I was like, you know, I see that you kind of pioneered this, like, your mindset, everything you're doing with your life, like, you know, you were the first one to do that, and you kind of like pulled me with you, but I'm only here because I listened to you and I'm willing to like take your advice. I read the books you recommend me. I'm in therapy, like, you know, and it's like, it's just a process, and it's a growth process. And I think it's amazing to be able to point to someone in your life and say, like, you impacted me in this way. Like, you know, I never take shame in that. I think that's amazing that I was able to like have this person, you know, my own brother, like, influence me so much in such a positive way. And now, like, you know, everything he would tell me these things before, but it was like, you know, it's just that disconnection where you know that he's right, but like your body is still resisting because you're so scared, you know? And then it's like little by little, I started taking the steps, and it happened over time. But like, now I believe the way I believe, and it's changed everything for me, really. It's changed how I work. It's changed how I deal with people. Like, I think for me, one of my biggest fears was like making mistakes. Like, I hate, like, I'm like a perfectionist. Like, I hate fucking up. And like, now I'm like learning, like, okay, like, you know, I fucked up a lot in the past year, and that's fine. Like, it's just like I add it to my list of like things that I'm learning, and like, now I know how to do this, and it's helped me with my other relationships. Like, you know, I give people more chances now. Oh, you know, when they deserve it. Not everyone deserves a lot of chances, but like, I can give people that are important to me more grace here and there, because I'm giving it to myself, and like, it's, you know,
that part, you're giving it to yourself, like that.
Yeah, and then now I understand, and now I've like started living my life a different way, but it takes a while to get there, and it's really hard to kind of like break away from like, oh, what if I fuck up? You know, that's what everyone is scared of. What are people going to think about me? And like, now I don't care. I really don't care. Like,
amazing.
And it's I'm not gonna lie, sometimes there's parts of you that still care, but like, overall, I'm like, you know what? Like, this is building me. Like, there's nothing that I look back on in my life and I'm like, oh, I hate that happened to me. Like, no, like, that happened. Like, literally everything happens for a reason. And cliche expressions are cliche for a reason.
Yeah.
Because they're usually true.
It's true. And there's no failures. It's just lessons.
Yeah.
Right. Wow.
No, I really believe that I actually saw this on Twitter once. Full disclosure, this is
Twitter.
This is not my fault. This is not my thought. I just resonated with it.
I'm sourcing it.
Someone tweeted, "I don't lose. I either win or learn." And I'm like, you're right. I saw that like a year ago, and I still think about it. Like, anytime like something shitty happens, I'm like, no, I didn't lose. Like,
that's amazing.
I really believe if you're like a true, genuine hearted person, and like you have good intentions in this life, you have a good heart, you don't lose. Like, even when it feels like you're losing, you don't lose. Like, you turn that shit around and make it into something better.
Oh man, life wants you to win.
It does. You
Life
just have
wants
to,
you to win.
but you even have to believe that like you're worthy of winning. Like that's the thing. Like a lot of people feel like they don't deserve anything good, and like you may not think that that's actually how you feel, but like look at the way your life is. Look at what you could be doing and what you're actually doing. Like why do you think you're not actually doing what you should be or could be doing? Like you just don't think that it's for you or that you're good enough. Like it really comes down to that a lot of times.
Why do you think that happens for common people or like just regular people? You know, like where it just seems like it's wired in their mind to not believe in themselves enough to know that they are worthy of whatever it is they want to do. You know, they're not just recognizing it. You know, nothing has clicked in their mind to tell them, I can do this.
Well, I think fear is definitely like the first factor. Like, and I can relate to this a lot because I'm only 23, but for pretty much all my life, I felt very like misguided in the sense that I never really knew what I wanted to do. Like, I would look at people that like knew they wanted to be a doctor from like 5 years old or something, you know, and it was like they had a purpose and they just did it. And I always admired that because I didn't have that. Like, I had like 6 different majors in college because I had no idea what I was doing. Like, you know, and so I always felt like I needed direction. And because of that, I didn't really trust myself to know what was my calling or like what I should be doing in life. Like I liked certain things, but then I was like, what makes that special? Like there's someone else who, you know, we live in a culture of comparisons. Everyone is comparing themselves to somebody else. And like, you think like, oh, I mean, I'm good at writing, but then you're like, oh, look at all these authors that have best-selling books. Like, how could I ever compete with that? Who's going to listen to what I have to say? And like, what I've learned is like, no one is going to do what you want to do the way you're going to do it. Like, I truly believe every single person in this life has something to offer. You just have to figure out what it is. I didn't know what it was for the longest time. Like Matthew, like is the one who's really guided me and like pushed me toward that. Like I can honestly say like if I didn't have him in my life, like I'd probably still be working my 9-to-5 job and still like searching. But when you get sucked into that culture, it's like you don't realize how much work sucks out of you. Like I would work 9 to 6 and I'd be done. I don't want to do anything. I want to watch TV. I want to eat. And then I do it again the next day. And they do that on purpose. Like why? Like it's literally proven somewhere. I read this in a book that humans are not productive after 5 hours. We're just not. Like we're not created to do that much work. Why do you think they work us for 8 hours? Because they know that like that's what gets you stuck in the cycle, and then you feel like you can never leave because you don't even have the energy to like figure out what you should be doing instead. Like and it's just, you know, from a young age everyone tells you like, oh, go to school, get 5 degrees. You know, now it's like a bachelor is like nothing. Like jobs want you to have a master's, and like what does that really do for you? Like I don't want to knock education. There's some, you know, amazing educated people out there. Love that for you if that's your path. Awesome. But, you know, now it's just a different world. And like, you kind of like from pretty young, I was like, you know, always conditioned to that. Like, oh, like, you know, go to college, get a nice job, you'll be good. And then you do that and you're like, okay, well, I don't like this. But then, you know, people like my aunts would tell me like, you know, oh, it'll get better. You'll get used to it. And I used to think, I was like, I don't want to get used to this. Like, this isn't going to be my life, you know?
Yep.
But it's just a lot of conditioning, a lot of comparing, and fear is, I think, the number one thing. Like, think about how critical social media is right now. Like, you do anything, someone's going to hate on you for something, one word you said, or how you posed, or something. Like, and so many people are so scared to, like, break out of their shell and, like, you know, expose themselves to getting hurt. Like, it's normal.
Yeah.
It's very normal.
Yep. And it's temporary too.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like just people are so afraid to, correct me if I'm wrong, just endure that pain. They're afraid to face it, you know, when in actuality, it's not going to last forever. You know, this too shall pass. I read that in the book, that line, that this too shall pass, whether it's success or failure. You know, like let's say you sell your company for $10 million, like success. You get that high of emotions.
Right.
But that's only going to last for so long. Same thing with failure.
Yeah, facts.
You know, like let's say you just lost your company for $10 million and you're $10 million in debt. Like,
oh, you're going to feel that.
You're going to feel that. And it's going to last a long time. Maybe $10 million in debt may not be the best exaggeration or best example. But the point is failure, success, either one will pass.
Yeah.
So it's how you respond and how you react after that.
Completely.
Wow. So like, that's good. At 23, by the way, 23, running your own business and with such a strong mindset. You know,
Yeah, it's taken a lot of growth and, pushing through, literally pushing through all your fears,
and
because
the
like,
failure.
yeah, and I mean, I don't know, like now I've had to, I'm on, I have my business on social media and stuff. And in the beginning, I was like scared too. I was like, oh, like what if my friends think I'm super lame for this? Like it's very normal to feel that way, and I still feel that way. I just remind myself, I'm like, are you gonna feel lame when you make $1 million? Are you gonna be embarrassed about your Instagram when you're making money? I don't think so.
So where can people find you on Instagram?
So my newest account. I'm just kidding. So I'm Julia Lena Thomas,
Okay.
and then my business is eVision Marketing.
Awesome.
That's my email marketing business. But yeah, it's been, I'm still learning how to run my own social medias. Everything's a learning process. Like I think you lose in life when you think that you're done learning or when you're not willing to learn.
Ooh.
I think that's when it kind of you cap out what you could really do. Like I think there's never going to be a point in my life where I'm going to tell you like, oh yeah, like I know everything. Like no, like there's always space for me to learn from people around me, from people younger than me, like people in my own space.
Are you learning from a specific person right now, or are you doing your
Google?
Google. Google.
I learn from Google and customer support sometimes.
Just respond and get their reaction.
Yeah,
and
I just
get
I
their
have this
feedback.
question, like yeah, and that's okay. Like it's like a fear too, because you're like, oh, what if my clients think I'm, and I've just like learned, like I'm an honest person, like I will deliver, like I'm not someone who's out here like scamming you, like I'm not saying I can do this and I have no clue what I'm doing, like I'll deliver it to you, and I have that faith in myself, but that's only why I know that I can take on clients. Otherwise, I'd still be like, oh, I don't know enough, let me learn more.
Right.
But now I'm like, you know what, like I'm still learning, but I can deliver, like I got this, and it's just like I just keep going. Because that's the thing. Like, you're going to look back in 6 months and be like, oh, I didn't know I could do that.
Yeah.
But here you are.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And that's a good point too, is being honest with yourself and humbling yourself and knowing whether or not like, shoot.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I'll get back to you.
Exactly.
I think I even learned that in serving one time. Like, I'll never forget one of my managers, Binky. She was the sweetest lady. I was working at Red Lobster. She was the best ever. And she was such a great mentor. But like, she did teach me, it's like, if you don't know the answer, don't lie.
Yeah.
And say like, oh yeah, and make it up. Because then if you get it wrong and you come back to that customer, hey, that's not going to look good on Red Lobster, and that's going to affect your tips too. And so like, I'll never forget that. It's just like, if you don't know something, admit it and let them know that you will find out right away.
Yeah. It's funny actually that you bring up that, because I feel like when I was like in college and stuff, I worked a lot of jobs in college, but I was like I would like low key compulsively lie, like for no reason. Oh. And like I was thinking about that recently, because I'm reading a book right now on like shame and vulnerability.
What's it called?
Daring Greatly, Brene Brown. Really good stuff. My brother lent it to me. We were actually supposed to have a book club reading it.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, it would never happen, but I'm halfway through it right now. But anyways, I realized like, cause I was thinking about it, just popped in my head. I was like, dude, I used to like randomly lie about like, sometimes I'd lie at work too. Like, I was a waitress as well.
Okay. Which
and
is
it was
a great
just like
job.
dumb stuff, or I'd act like I knew what was going on when I didn't. And then I was like, and now I've made it a habit to like, I'm just always honest about everything. Like to everyone in my life, like I just don't lie about anything. There's no point, because I used to just do it over dumb shit that didn't even matter, And I thought about that. I was like, I wonder why I lied so much. And I honestly, I tied it to shame. I think I lied to cover up like really dumb things. Like maybe I didn't want someone to know what I ate that day, and I'd lie about it. Like it's just like little stuff like that. And I realize now it was all tied into shame. Like I didn't want to feel bad about something, and like or I hung out with someone I wasn't supposed to hang out with. I'd lie about it. Like, to my friends, never, I'm not a significant other lying. I'm not that. But you know what I mean? Like, and I look back and I'm like, oh, like, this whole journey that I'm on to like, always be who I am at all times has really led me to just be honest all the time. Like, and if I fuck up in my friendships or my relationships, like I will be honest with you and I'll own up. Like, oh no, that was fucked up. I'm sorry, and I won't do it again. And I don't. Like that's how life is. You can't ever expect to get things right on the first try. Like none of us have done this shit before.
Yeah.
But it's been a really valuable lesson for me. And it's so like freeing, you know, when you like lie about little shit, you get caught up in that. It's like dumb.
It'll
but
catch
then,
up to you.
Yeah, it always does, even if it's the dumbest things. And now it's like, you know, it's made me more confident in a very like in a weird way. It really has.
Well, and it's like, yeah, I think you just said it, confidence. It's like allowing you to be more free in your actions, right? Because maybe you're not walking around feeling like you're on eggshells or anything like that. Like you're just like, I am who I am. I know I'm honest with what I need to be doing. My work ethic is amazing, and I trust in myself to go and do that. I'm saying,
Yeah.
you're saying that,
Yeah.
not me, but what you're saying
Yeah,
to
facts.
yourself. Wow, and what you say to yourself is so important too. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, my goal for this week is more positive self-talk because I'm not good at that. You know?
What are you trying to say more?
I kind of get on myself. Like what I'm struggling with right now is like when you're working from home and you're working for yourself, it can be really hard to like know when you've been productive. Like I can work for 12 hours, still have more work to do, and then be like, oh, I didn't work enough today. So it's like that, you know, and then when you think that way, it kind of like you self-sabotage yourself. And like, or sometimes like, you know, I'll be doing something I need to do, like an errand, and I'll be like, you shouldn't be doing this right now, like you should be at home working. Like it's just like I'm always hammering into my head. Like sometimes when I hang out with friends, I'll feel guilty because I'm like, what are you doing, you should be working.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to like form it more positively and like, you know, be very disciplined because I'm not trying to like sit around and be like, I'm doing positive self-talk this week. Like discipline, but also like allow myself
What's
to
my
just,
fortune today?
to just like chill out sometimes and like tell myself like, you worked really hard today, like good job. Like just like little things like that, just to support myself in my work instead
you.
of like doing the opposite and being like shaming myself if I feel like I didn't do enough. Like,
Well, you did say you were a perfectionist, right?
yeah, I'm working on that because
I think that ties in.
being a perfectionist is like a drug. You know, it's just never enough. Like you're never gonna reach a point where you're like, oh yeah, I'm perfect.
Right.
That's-
Or this is perfect. Like it's just,
Yeah.
I think it's just more action than planning. You know,
Yeah.
that are gonna help you get progress and results along the way. And like you're gonna get to those failures, you're gonna get to those lessons, and you're gonna get to those successes quicker by action. I mean, yes, it's a balance of planning and action, but I think action at the end of the day is probably like one of the more key vital things to getting the thing running.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Facts.
Really cool. Really cool. I mean, uh, you nailed some really good stuff tonight. And I think that's definitely going to translate to the people that are listening, to people that are watching. And I would love to have you come back on again.
do it.
And after, I don't know, I don't care when. I just feel like we can go down this rabbit hole more any day of the week because what you're talking about is like self-love, facing your fears, honesty, you know,
Yeah.
and you gave out some good books. Are you listening to any certain music right now that's helping you get in your flow? That might be something that you enjoy.
You know, not really, but what I've noticed is like I was trying to do like I'm not great at meditating because my mind is super busy.
Okay.
But I was there was a week where I was doing guided meditations in the morning and at night, and I have noticed that my focus increases a lot when I do a little meditation. Like I did one that was just like an exercise of like if you feel your mind wandering, like just like bring it back. And then it's like, okay, today, like every time your mind starts to wander, bring it back. And I actually did it that day and I noticed like I sleep better, I focus better. So it's not so much like a lot of times I work in silence because I get distracted very easily.
Fair enough.
But meditation is the one thing that actually really does help me like in my day to day. I'm just trying to make it a habit because
Right away in the morning.
usually I'll work out, and then after I work out when I'm stretching, I put on a meditation, and while I stretch, I like do the guided meditation.
Like consciously thinking as you're stretching at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay, because people think meditation is, I mean, it is a form of sitting still. It's stillness, right?
Right.
But meditation can be done, in my opinion, how you just explained it. If it's working for you, that's meditation. You know, if
Yeah.
you're getting results
Yeah.
from that, that's meditation, in my opinion. So like people think that meditation is just sitting here doing the home, fingers crossed. And there is certain types of meditation that allow people to, there's benefits for that.
Oh yeah.
But how you're doing it, you're doing almost an active meditation.
Yeah.
Call it what you will, whatever it is. But you're like,
Yeah.
you're getting your mindset to start the day, especially after doing a workout, something active in the morning, which I love, which is great and always important to do to get your mind running.
Oh yeah.
But then also giving yourself a little bit of self-love, meditation. And what's that meditation like for you? Like if breathing exercises, is
Yeah,
it?
like it's very simple because I know there's a lot more advanced forms of meditation.
Of course.
I'm not there yet, so I start very small and like it's just a lot of breathing, and then they just tell you like, okay, focus on this now, and like the ones that I do at night are just like they have you relax, relax your feet first, and like mentally do that, and just kind of so it's just like little like cues here and there, and then I like try to do it because I think I'm trying to just work on like training my brain to like calm down a little bit because anytime I mean my brain is like like all day every day when I'm sleeping, like it's just a lot. But actually you touched on something that I wanted to mention. One time I did we were talking about self-love. I did a bedtime yoga routine. I was like really stressed out one day and my body like hurts from sitting so much. So I was like, okay, let me like do some yoga. And I don't know, I was just like in a bad mood or just, I was sad. And it was just I found it on YouTube, Yoga with Adrienne. And
she's great.
yeah, she's so good.
She's great. I've seen her. I've watched so many of hers.
She's awesome. And like, it was just like the act of like taking care of myself at the end of the day. Like I started sobbing like during yoga. Like I was crying so hard. And like usually, when that happens, like I have a tendency to like fight it off and be like, you're crying in yoga, like what are you doing? And then I was like, you know what, no, like you had it, like just let it out. And I just like let myself cry while I was doing yoga. My cat was looking at me like, what is going on, dude? He was like, are you good? But it was awesome. Like I felt so good after, like, it was just like the act of taking care of yourself. Like it's more than going to the gym. It's more than eating right. It's more than like having good friends. Like it's like when you carve time in your day and you mentally tell yourself that you're taking care of yourself. Like, and I was like, when I was trying to nail
that again, carving time out of your day to
take care of yourself. Like it's
amazing.
So important. And I just remember like the thought that I had in my brain, because I was like asking myself like, why are you crying right now? And the first thought that I had was just like a lack of love. That's all I could describe it as. But that's why I was crying, because it was like I felt myself loving myself, and I also felt that like I don't do that. It was so crazy. And I was like, wow, this was like a really deep, it was just like a bedtime yoga session turned really, really fucking deep.
That's beautiful.
But it's yeah, those are like, and I noticed the weeks that I don't make time for that are definitely way different. And like when you really make time for yourself, like it makes such a difference.
That's so beautiful. Honestly, I'm not trying to be like, that's honestly, because I can feel that. Like just you owned your emotions, like you let out a cry, like
yeah. No, yeah, it's so healthy for you, like I feel like it's so easy like to just stuff your everything down and be like, no, I'm good, I'm good. And I do that a lot too, because no one likes being sad, but like I hate like dwelling in something that I'm sad. Like if I'm really sad about something, I usually act the happiest because that's how I cope. And like recently I've been teaching myself like to let yourself feel more, like just like embrace your pain and like really understand where it comes from. I think that's when you really understand yourself. And like actually like this past week has been like really a good week for me. And it was so weird because like there were so many personal things that went on that made it not good, but like in my head, it was a good fucking week. And I was thinking about that. I was like, why did I have such a good week last week? And it's because like it was shitty, but I have learned, I'm still learning, but I'm at the point where I know how to handle myself when I'm really sad now. Like before, if I felt sad, I would like try to do something to band-aid it, just anything I could. Like maybe I'd have a glass of wine, or maybe I'd like want to hang out with someone so I'm distracted. And then now I know exactly like what works for me, and I can be by myself and like sit with it and like and be fine the next day. Like usually when something bad happens, like the next day I'm like still sad about it. Like I woke up, like my brother called me, like he was like, hey, are you feeling okay today? And I was like, yeah, like I actually feel really good. And it was just like, that's what made me feel like so like I had a good week. I was like, oh wow, like I'm finally learning like how to be there for myself. And it's such an empowering feeling because like no one can ever take that away from you. Like you know, it's just like, And I love it. I love knowing that I am capable of like pulling myself out of whatever hole I'm in and being like, oh, I'm good. Like I can handle this. Like, and I've learned recently how much sleep heals me. Like if I'm feeling really, really shitty, I'm feeling irrational, I'm like, go to sleep. And every time I do that, like the next day it's good.
Wow.
You know, like I'm learning, and it's like the most liberating, fulfilling feeling.
You said something that I'm thinking about, and it says like, you said, I'm being there for myself. It's almost like there's two yous.
I know.
Right? It's like you got
Yeah.
your physical body, your temple, like yogis, you know, we go down that conversation. But then you have your spirit
Yeah.
to guide you, to help you get through life.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's almost one of the same, but it is owning that there is a you that people see,
Mm-hmm.
but then there's a you that only you know. And how you just own, it's just the way you said that. I might be onto something. I may be way off on something, but like, it's just like you were able to recognize a certain voice or a certain spirit in your mind to just say like, hey, it's okay. You have to talk to yourself sometimes in a way to either calm you down, to pump you up, or one of the same. And so interesting. It's like you have to, I don't know what that is.
I know exactly what you're saying. It's very hard to describe because like I feel like you feel it more when it's something that you start doing, you know, and like but like for me, like I'll just let I cried like my whole way driving home, and like that was okay. You know what I mean? I was like, that's fine. Like, and then I was, you know, I'm like okay after. Like, I think it's just like I'm learning how to balance things. Like I used to isolate myself when I got really sad because I felt like if I wasn't at my happiest self, no one's going to want to be around me. Like I'm going to ruin the energy in the room. You can always feel when someone's not feeling themselves, you know?
Yeah.
So I would just isolate. I wouldn't hit anyone up. If people hit me up, I'd make excuses. Like you know, and that was like how I would cope. And then now I'm learning like what works for me, that doesn't work for me. Like that might be my first instinct. And although I'm learning how to like be there for myself, I'm still learning like when I like how to ask for help, and like that's okay to like reach out and ask for help. Like it's a very like how do I it's a balance, but you need both, like you know, to really, but it's relieving. It's like so awesome for me to know I'm like, oh, I know exactly like how to handle myself when I'm not feeling okay. And that's
to be able to ask for help takes courage too, and bravery.
I really struggle with that. I still struggle with it, but it's a process that I just like, you know, I like let myself do it. Wow. And I just keep, and my therapist actually, like, she really pushed me out. She's like, this week I want you to do, you know, call this and this person, you know,
nice.
You know, and I'd be like, okay, I can do that. Like,
and people get kind of scared by therapy, like, oh, therapy. Like you got to be a nut for taking a therapy. Like, no, you don't. Like therapy is therapy.
It's amazing.
You know, why do they physical therapy? It's there to help you.
Oh yeah.
You know, and so the therapy, I think people need to understand and not be so frightened by, because I've taken it and it's helped me wonders. It you know, just to have someone there, and it takes courage to go to it in the first place, because it's just like, what am I going to get out of it? It's nerve wracking. But when you're there, they're just there to help.
Yeah.
You know, and you're there to figure I mean, maybe a therapist is more there to help you recognize it for yourself.
Yeah.
Because they may know the answer, which they probably do, you know, but it's not their job to tell you this is it. You need to think this way. It's there to help you recognize it yourself.
Yeah.
And that one aspect, I'm not saying that's what all therapy is about, because I'm definitely not educated in being a therapist at all. Not claiming I am. But that's what I got out of it.
Yeah.
Is that when you're going to therapy, is that you're learning more about yourself.
Yes. Yeah. And you know, it's funny though. People are really scared of that. Like most people are really scared to think that, like, because I feel like it's commonly associated that, like, you know, you have problems if you're talking to a therapist.
Yeah.
And so we all have like issues. We all have trauma that we've experienced in our life. Like no matter how good your life is, you have trauma. I'm sorry to break it to you.
Yeah.
We all do.
We all have
and
it.
That's okay. And I think the beauty of like being humans and being capable of forming connections is that no matter what problem you have, you can fix it. Like the beauty of finding problems, you find a solution too. You don't just find a problem, you find a way to
Yay.
fix it. And I love that. Like that's why like therapy has helped me so much, because I love to know why things happen. I love to know why I react the way I react. Like because if I can, go down the whole list and figure out what the root is, then I can go in there and fix it. And then the next time it comes up, I know exactly what's happening. And it's just blows my it doesn't blow my mind. I know therapy is a scary thing, but it's like so liberating to know why things happen to you, why you react the way you do. And it's like an act of taking care of yourself too, because you know why you're doing what you're doing, and you can go in there and like redirect yourself. And I think it's like the most incredible thing. Like that's the beauty of problems. You can always solve them.
Yeah.
It's not the end of the world.
Yep. Yep. There's a problem, there's a solution.
Yes, always.
Good talk.
Good talk.
Good talk. Honestly, Julia, thank you. I think we've gotten a lot of information that people can really take home and take to themselves and just or share with somebody along the way, because like you sharing your struggles, your problems, and how you got through those problems obviously takes a lot of courage as well. So thank you for being vulnerable and sharing, because that's it shows a lot. So
no, thank you. You're amazing. You always have such good wisdom to drop. I love it. I love having conversations with you. It's very, very nurturing, and it's a good space.
Thank you. That means so
Aw,
much.
I
Thank
love
you.
it.
Thank you so much. And Rocky loves you.
We love Rocky.
Oh, thank you. Anyway, thank you so much for coming. And
thank you.
for everyone listening and watching, again, Julia is amazing. Please say your social media and where everyone can find you again.
Okay, so you can find me at Julia Lena Thomas
Perfect.
on Instagram, and my business is eVision Marketing.
Great. And I'll be adding all the links and information below in the description, and even attachments to the books that we were talking about. I think that's always so key as well, to just keep filling your body up, filling your mind up with the knowledge that helps you get through the day-to-day struggles. And
Agreed.
And
Did you hear that?
Rocky thinks so too.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in on another episode of Where is Wisco's podcast, and we're gonna leave it at that. I hope y'all have a great week. Thank you so much. Tune in next time. Peace.